The truth of the matter is, no matter how your money is stacking up, most couples have some challenges, some big problems when it comes to relating about money. Oftentimes, there can be arguments, there can be tensions, there can be feelings of inequality, there can be challenges with who's in control. We'll talk about that. It really doesn't matter where you are. Money can be, and it is, not can be, it is one of the leading causes of marital discord and even divorces. And you know, when marriage is creating, when money is creating marriage problems and people start heading for the divorce courts, things get very, very expensive. And it does not have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. So let's talk a little bit about how we can keep you moving in the right direction when it comes to this subject, this issue, this challenge of finances, marriage, relationships. I'm very grateful that we don't fight about money anymore. Sherry and I have been married for 34 years. We've been together. This October 31st will be 38 years in relationship with one another. And money used to be a source of challenge and conflict and friction and all of that. I had so much anxiety about money, And having grown up poor, having grown up without abundance, when I got married, I was nervous. I was afraid. I was contentious. I brought that into our marriage. And after those fights, I decided, I got to get better. I got to grow. I got to get beyond all of these sort of tensions and anxieties when it comes to money. All right. So let's talk about what are some of the challenges and why do these challenges come about for couples when it comes to finances? Why do couples with great resources often have great squabbles, great fights? The first reason is because control and power dynamics start to happen. I remember a friend of mine, dear friend, saying to to his bride, "No money, no vote." I thought, ooh, who says that? Like, who does that? Like, man, you can't really mean that. No money, no vote. He was serious. He was serious about that thing. I thought that's not going to be helpful in the long run, and it was not. I think he's since grown beyond that, but no money, no vote. This whole control and power dynamic is a real issue because the question becomes who makes the financial decisions? Why? How much money, do you get to control? Do you get to use? That you have access to? And so when these power dynamics come into play, one person can feel disempowered and feel like the other person has grabbed all of the power financially. And that disparity, or at least the feeling of disparity, even the feeling of disparity, I should say, even that feeling can create significant challenges and issues. And so there can be this power play, this power dynamic. And if you are a couple in that space, you want to be very mindful of the power dynamic that comes with it. And it happens so subtly, so easily, so quickly, especially if you grew up not having resources. I remember a friend once who had a great career in Hollywood. And I said, what is it like now? You've grown. They worked hard to build their career in the entertainment industry. And I remember the wife saying, it's not being broke that bothers me. But after having amassed wealth, it is the challenge, the thought of going broke again, that is really, really concerning to me. And so they were trying to figure out how to manage this new reality against the dynamics of power, control, and having wealth. This is real common where there's been income let me say this right, income disparity. So if one spouse is making more money than the other, they can feel like, um, who am I? So if the wife is making all the money, or if the husband is making all the money, the other partner will feel like, who am I? What say do I have? They almost feel like they have to sort of just go along because they don't feel like equal partners in the financial picture. And I think that's a real challenge, where people let the money dictate the level of partnership, the quality of the partnership. And I've seen this dynamic play out a lot in my work with people in professional sports, where there's a high income earner, and then there's someone who may be a wife, perhaps, especially who is tending to the kids, not working outside of the home, and they feel like they have no say in the finances. And that creates great tension, great disparity. And there's always this sort of icky feeling and experience, like, what if this relationship goes wrong? And there are arguments that happen all the time. But when they get on the same page and they make money secondary to the relationship, the dynamic improves, and it improves vastly. Here's a second challenge that comes with this money question, the money equation. It is that different money values and philosophies. Everybody grows up with a different value of money, a different philosophy of money. How should money be used? How should money be seen? What role should money play in our lives? Sometimes one person in the marriage sees this as an opportunity to live a luxury life. That's not what's wrong with that. If you make luxury money, sometimes people want to live a luxury life. But another person in that same marriage, the other person, I should say, can feel like, let's not live a luxury life. Let's just preserve the money. Let's live sort of low key. We don't have to really flex like that. We don't really have to floss the money. And so they want to live low key. They want to just be under the radar, as it were. Sometimes the philosophy is, one person says, let's amass as much as we can. Let's hold on to as much as we can. Let's give as little as we can. And then the other spouse is thinking, no, I think we should give more. We should give more to our church, or we should give more to other great causes in society and in the world. And that can create some real tension, because if one feels like, let's amass as much as we can, save as much as we can, rather than give, that creates a lot of tension. And it's interesting that oftentimes, not exclusively, but oftentimes, the more money a couple makes, oftentimes the less money they give, because they will give, how should I say this? Almost feeling like, well, I made my money, you need to go and make yours. I remember when I was working in a nonprofit, and I remember one guy saying to me, this is a well-known athlete and football coach, saying, you need to get a job and go make your own money, make your real money, make some real money. Why do you? And then it was funny. And then he wrote me a check, and I was really shocked. He said, I want to support your work. And he wrote me a check, and I looked at the check, and I was amazed at how small it was compared to what he was capable of. And I would charge any couple watching this video, the more you make, the more generous you should be. In fact, I have come to believe and understand that if you give, it will come back to you with good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. That's a biblical principle that we live by and that we encourage others to live by, to learn to be generous, not irresponsibly generous, but responsibly generous, because that can put you on the same page, and it can align you powerfully with what God would want you to do with the resources that he has entrusted to you. Because at the end of the day, the resources don't belong to us. They belong to the one who gave them to us. And someday when we all leave this life, we will have to give an account for how we handled the resources. Um, so the third challenge can be trust and transparency issues. Really big trust and transparency. Because when you amass wealth and you have all of these different places where you can store it, use it, invest it, um, gather it, sometimes the other partner does not know that that's what's going on, and so there can be a lack of transparency, um, this sort of opacity. Am I saying that right? Yeah, it's just not transparent. So, and they don't know, and then they discover, and they feel like, oh my goodness, is this what we're doing? So you're just making these financial decisions without me, and now who am I? Like, why don't I get to be involved in the decision making? And that lack of transparency can feel to the other person like infidelity, which becomes a huge, huge challenge. And what I want to encourage couples to do whenever I'm working with them is to always be transparent. Like if you don't hide anything, there's nothing hidden. And the other person is clear, you don't feel the need to hide anything. And you have to ask yourself the question, if you are that person who feels like you should have the power, you should be able to make whatever decisions you want to, because perhaps you are the high earner in your relationship. Why do I move this way? Why do I make these decisions this way when it comes to resources? This issue of financial tension in a marriage is, as I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest factors in leading great couples with great resources to bad divorces. And I want to challenge you, don't let it lead you, don't let it lead you in that direction, because that's a very costly proposition. It's not just that you're paying extraordinary money for legal expenses, but the costs to you physically, emotionally, to your relationship, to your legacy, to your children. If you're parents, if you have children, the cost to them is so much higher than if you would pause and work to get on the same page, put money second in your relationship rather than let it be first, and then come to agreement about how you want to use money, what philosophy you'll operate from, how you want to enjoy the wealth and the resources, and how you want to be a help in the world, the impact you want to make in the world, maybe in your church, in your community. And I would encourage any and all of those ways, because I think people are much happier when they don't let money control them and their relationship. And instead they control the money itself and let it be a resource for the relationship, a resource for the family, a resource that enables them to do things that will make a difference and that will have an eternal impact with that money. And let me just say this last part. When people don't have an eternal perspective about money, that means you don't just see it in terms of what you can buy, what you have, what power it gives you, and certainly the ability to make decisions. If you don't see it as an opportunity to make it an eternal impact, then it becomes all-consuming. My son and I were at a car show recently, and we were looking at all these beautiful cars because we love cars, and we're both kind of Porsche nerds, but we just love cars. And so we saw this gentleman with a beautiful Spider, this Porsche Spider, and my son was standing there and just complimenting him and talked about having driven Porsches recently. And the gentleman sort of was, it kind of was incognito. He didn't say anything at first when my son was talking, and then he goes, "Do you have one of these?" My son goes, "No, I don't have one of these." He goes, "Well, this one is mine." My son had been talking to someone else about the price range. The guy said, "What do you think these cars cost?" And he gave him the cost, and eventually the guy chimed in, "No, this one is mine, and it costs this much." And he just began to sort of he began to flex. And can I just tell you, it gave a perspective about money and wealth that made me think, wow, it must be really tough living with you. I wonder what what his wife's experience was with him, because he had a very distasteful posture when it came to the resources that he had. And I want to encourage you as a couple, I want to challenge you as a couple to live humbly with your means, to think about all the incredible things that you can accomplish with it, enjoy it, and do great things with it. See it as a privilege and an honor. But whatever you do, don't let it tear apart your relationship. And this is for anyone, no matter what level you may live on financially. Don't let it ruin your relationship. It doesn't have to. Let me give you a few things that you can do that can be helpful along the way. I think I shared some of these, but let me share some others. Think about communication and decision making, right? Because it is a communication issue, and it's about how we make decisions with the money. Think about trust building, right? The need to build a fortress of trust in your relationship. I want to challenge you, don't let money tear down your trust, because when trust is torn down, it takes a long time to rebuild. Focus on the relationship, and then focus on the relationship you two want to have with money, so that trust is always at the top of your thinking when it comes to your relationship. We used to say in our family, especially to our children, we would like to be able to trust you, and we want you to be able to trust us. And so we would focus, and we still do, we focus on trust, and it has helped us build great relationships with our kids. Sherry and I have great trust with one another because we've chosen trust rather than treasure. Ooh, that was really good right there. Choose trust rather than treasure. Let the treasure be secondary and let the trust be primary. You got to align your values. Align your values. What's most important? What's important to you? What's important to the other person? Align your values so that money does not have a superseding value in your relationship. I'm telling you, you can enjoy your life, you can enjoy your resources, but you don't have to be out of alignment when it comes to your values. All right, I hope this was helpful to you, and just wanted to share some insights to keep you from don't let big money create big problems in your relationship, because money is a tool and a resource, a beautiful tool and resource, but it can also be a bear if you allow it to control the relationship. All right, I hope that was helpful. Shout back in the comments if this is helpful to you, and I'll look forward to connecting some more. What do you do, by the way, to when you get into battles over the bucks? What do you do when you're fighting over money? What do you do when you're not on the same page about money and spending, philosophy of finances? What do you do? How do you work through it? Drop something in the comments. Let me know. I hope that this was helpful to you. Make sure you like and subscribe and share if this content is helpful to you. All right. And I will see you the next time in the next video or on the next live. Talk to you later.